Might help if I had my microphone in front of me to talk into. You guys tend to hear me a little bit better when I'm talking into a microphone. There you go. In from the. What's up, dude? How are you? Pardon me. I just ate lunch, so. And it's also the reason why I'm kind of getting a little bit later start than I would have liked today, because I was eating lunch. So, and I was hungry. And I wanted to eat earlier. Because last week I ate lunch late, and then Mrs. J came home and said, let's eat, and, I'm hungry. And I said, I'm not real hungry. She said, well, I'm hungry, so I ended up spoiling my dinner. So, let's see. Fried rutabaga, Ghost Rider, Charles 75N, Haas Coleman. What's up, everybody? How's everybody having a good week? Bad week, indifferent week? I don't have too many complaints other than, well, not to, unfortunately, there's another mass shooting, and this one happened in my city here, and just yesterday morning, unfortunately. So that was kind of a, had a pretty decent week up until that was happening, and I got a lot of coworkers that are out there, live out there in that area, real close by. Why is YouTube telling me that your stream rate is higher than the suggested 2500 bit rate? We recommend you stream to the 2500 bit rate. Okay, whatever. Haas Coleman's actually out fishing. I wish I were out fishing or playing golf or something. I really wanted to do that. I wanted to play golf this weekend, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to it. I've got, after I'm done here, then I've got to restring and set up 3 guitars. One of them was sent to me for a demo this week, so I gotta get that guitar restrung and set up and ready to shoot that video this week. And there's a couple of others that also need it, so I'm gonna take care of those. Then I gotta go back and get my music room finished, getting that straightened out and squared away, because because Tony's coming over tomorrow evening to help me. We're gonna build my PC, so yeah, a lot of stuff going on. But with all that going on, I'm not gonna have time to go play golf. So that's probably gonna have to wait till next weekend. Let's see. Brad Rutabaga says the world has gone bad. Gone mad. You're not wrong about that. I had to refresh to get the stream back. That's interesting. It's telling me I have an excellent stream connection. Excellent stream health. It's telling me to back off on the bit rate. However the hell I'm supposed to do that. That one I don't know. Oh well. Liptech 1 says stream looks good on my end. Thus far, yep, I seem to, everything seems to be operating, functioning as well as it could be here from what I can tell. I've been wrong before. Granted, it took me and Jim a while to get it figured out how to get both of us streaming on my channel last week, but we managed to get it figured out. So, oh man, what's going on with everybody? Anybody get any new toys this week? By chance? Yes, no, maybe so. Nobody? Anybody? Liptech One says just got a new Hot Tone Ampera 1. Love it. I'm using it as my new bass rig. I'm not familiar with that one. Hot Tone, Hot Tone. One of the worst, brand names ever from a marketing perspective because nobody knows how in the hell to pronounce it. Hot Tone Ampera 1. Ah, okay, it's an amp modeler. Or a modeler effects processor. I see. Okay. Cool. Is that like Hotone's like vastly condensed? Looks like a vastly condensed helix. Does it have that kind of sound quality to it? I am curious. Touchscreen looks like. Core dual DSP. All right. Looks like they're trying to. Looks like it's trying to be a more affordable alternative to the expensive processors. Okay, cool. George Rodriguez says, Robert, you think the new Tone Master amps are going to replace traditional Fender tube amps? No, absolutely not. There is no way the Fender is ever going to replace. They're not going to replace the twin reverb. They're not going to replace the deluxe reverb. They got the deluxe reverb is the best-selling amp in history. They're not going to replace it. The Princeton, the God, what else? Which one am I forgetting? The Super Reverb. They're not going to replace any of those. They'd be stupid if they did. What the Tone Master series are designed to do. They've got a couple versions of that one right now. I think there's a twin and there's a deluxe, and those are Fender's testing the market for it because those, believe it or not, those are modeling amps, but they model one amp. They model, and either the twin, one does the twin reverb, one does the deluxe reverb. So, Fender is seeing if they can model their own amps with just one amp model, and come up with a viable solid state version of those amps. See if people buy it. So, and they do. I will give them credit. Those amps do sound really good. And other advantages to them is they're actually really lightweight. As comparatively speaking anyway, so they're a lot easier for people to lug around. Jim, who was co-hosting with me here last week, he has one. I think which one's he got? I want to say he has the twin reverb. At least he did. He did have one. So, So I want to say whichever one he has, it regardless doesn't matter. He loves it. For all the reasons I just mentioned. But are the um, Tone Master is going to replace the traditional stuff? Nah, no way. Fender lose their, they would lose so much money if they did that. Pardon me. Haas Coleman in the super chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys want to support the channel, you can do what Haas Coleman just did. Click that little $sign down there below the chat box, and you can do so that way. You can buy yourself a t-shirt from the Teespring shop up there at the the link at the very top. And my Patreon and PayPal links are listed in the description of just about all of my videos. So, all of that support, all the money that comes from those donations, all go right back into the channel, so I can keep demoing gear for you guys. Let's see. Charles 75N says, I have my eye on a couple things, still trying to work out not getting killed by the wife. I understand that. I understand that. I had a couple things show up this week, and this is something I didn't think about when I installed that Ring doorbell. Our doorbell had broken, and we needed to be replaced anyway. So I was like, and I think we've got there's a transformer in your traditional style doorbells, somewhere in the house somewhere, and I think that's blown. So, I was like, I could spend a couple $100 fixing that, or I can spend, just get one of these Ring doorbells and get a camera so I can see what's going on and talk to people and, remotely, et cetera, et cetera. Seems like a pretty good product. A lot of people seem to like it. What I didn't expect is, I work from home, but, there are times when, like if while I'm working, somebody comes and delivers something at the front porch and, I'm on the phone, I can't get up and go take care of it right away. Now I can, pick up my phone, and say, hey, just go ahead and drop it off there on the front porch, and I will be down to grab it here in just a few minutes. Now I can do that. But anytime I go outside, to go get whatever package has been left on the porch, now my wife, texts me. She texted me the other day. So what guitar was that? Of course she knows what a guitar box looks like when she sees it. But she's a pretty good sport about it all, though. So. Liptex says the Ampera 1 it is a poor man's Helix. Okay, cool. We need poor man's Helixes. Infamous says picked up BC Rich Kerry King Warlock. Those are going to start going cheap. Now that he's no longer with them, he's jump ship to Dean. So, not that, and I, me being a diehard BC Rich guy, I love him. But, they're not for everybody, and now that, his relationship with them is finally done, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of, all the diehard Kerry King fans, I think, are going to start selling some of their Kerry King BC Riches in favor of buying the Deans. Let's see. Ben E. in the super chat as well. It says for the Gibson Custom Fund. Thank you, sir. For those of you that don't know, I'm also saving up for a Gibson Les Paul Custom, and I have promised those that help me finally secure this damn guitar, because I've been chasing this damn thing for 20 years now at least. The guitar I've always wanted. So, and I finally decided this year I'm doing it. This year I'm gonna find a way to make it happen. I'm buying the stupid thing. So I've promised anybody that helps me to acquire said Gibson Les Paul custom that they'll get to play it. Speaking of Ben E, by the way, he I believe anyway. I should probably look that up on my phone to make sure that you're the same person. At least I think you are. There's a couple of Bens that frequent these live streams now, and sometimes it's tough to keep up with you. With everybody. That is. Yeah, same guy. Okay. Ben has an uncle that I think was an uncle. Is that right? Stepdad. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, I spent my childhood growing up in Houston, Texas. I am a diehard Houston Astros fan. I have been my entire life. The cheating bastards. Anyway, for those that might not be baseball fans, once upon a time, before the Houston Astros became the Houston Astros, they were known as the Houston Colt 45s. And Ben's stepfather is a guy named Larry Yellen, who was a pitcher for the Colt 45s once upon a time. And he sent me a couple of signed, autographed Larry Yellen baseball cards. One of them, I think, is even a rookie card. And here, he also sent me a letter along with it. Said enclosure the baseball cards. He'd emailed me in advance and talked to me about this and offered it to me. So I supplied him with my address. He said enclosure the baseball cards. My stepdad Larry was tickled that he could give a few of his last ones away to someone who is an Astros fan. Thanks for the hard work you do providing content on YouTube. Sincerely, Ben E. So those showed up this week, man. Thank you very much. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna get these framed. That's really cool. That's really cool. Kind of got to be a diehard Astros fan, for that to mean anything to anybody. But I happen to be. So thank you. Very cool. Let's see. Where was I? Timothy Plonks has bought a Pignose G40 and ordered a Mercury Magnetics transformer to hot rod it. Cool. There's enough room to put a Mercury Magnetics transformer in a Pignose. Okay, that's cool. Dominic Montefiore says, "Would you rather own your own mountain or your own lake, and why?" Ooh. I would say probably my own lake, and reason why is because I don't as much as I don't get to do it hardly anymore. But I actually really enjoy fishing. I used to be a really avid fisherman, and if I had my own lake, of course I would have probably a couple of boats on it that I could, a bass boat and a pontoon boat and stuff like that I could use to travel on said lake. And and the other thing about lakes is, especially if you also like the mountains, there's lots of lakes in the mountains. So I don't know where this particular lake that you're proposing is located, but there are lots of beautiful lakes and beautiful mountain ranges all over the world. So if it were me, I mean, I prefer boats and fishing and stuff like that to hiking and climbing and things of that nature. So let's see. Joe Trey is here. Ben East is going through your vids this week. I saw the Polara Reverb review. I had mine for a few years and can't agree more on how great it is. Digitech tears. Yeah, matter of fact, I was actually watching that video last night as well because I was going through some old full track demos, and that one's actually in, the full track demo in that video is actually probably my top 3 favorite of the ones that I've done. Well, which you guys will see here shortly anyway. But that pedal itself though is, for a standard size stomp box reverb pedal, that one may be the best one I've ever played. The MXR M300 is close. The Boss RV6 is also really, really good. But, the Polara Reverb, another hats off to the genius of Tom Cram, for designing that one, because he did a hell of a job. Too bad all those are now discontinued. I guess Digitech doesn't like money. Crab Daddy X says, how about the shitty MXR dime distortion pedal? I actually like that pedal, to be honest with you. I bought one at a guitar show a couple years ago and got it home and, discovered after, I thought I was getting it a little cheap, and, when I got home, I found out why, because it didn't work. So Tony fixed it and got it working for a minute, and then I brought it home, plugged it back in, and it still doesn't work. So there's something wrong with mine. But I do also own the MXR double shot distortion, and half of that pedal I think is actually the dime distortion. But I actually like the MXR dime distortion quite a bit. Go watch Sean Pierce Johnson did a demo of that pedal years ago, 5-6 years ago at least. But go watch that pedal and go watch that video, because he got, the tones that he got sounded just like Dimebag. I mean, I was impressed. Matter of fact, it was his video that sold me on mine. Fried Rutabaga says, Warlocks are the coolest BC Rich in my opinion. They're one of them. They're one of my favorites. I like the Warlocks. I like the Mockingbirds. I've always wanted a beast, a neck-through beast, but, they've always been kind of tough to come by on the used market, and, every time one has popped up, I haven't had the money for it, or there's been another priority. But the beast has always been one of my favorites. I've always wanted. I'm a little older now. I'm not sure I could pull off playing one of those on stage like I could have in my 20s and early 30s, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop me from buying one when the time is right. The Draco V is also really, really cool. I think that's a kick-ass body style. And boy, what else do I like? The Igniter's cool. I actually like a lot of the Super Strat models. The pardon me. The Gunslinger, the ASM. Now they have the Shredzilla. Yeah. I don't know. I like most. DC Rich they got a lot of body shapes out there, but the ones that I really don't, that I don't really seem to get into too much. Not that I don't like them, I just haven't gotten into them. Or like the Ironbirds. Ironbirds are prices on Ironbirds are going up like crazy right now. The Ironbirds, I've always been kind of lukewarm about. The Junior V's are. They're V's. I think you guys know I kind of got a love-hate relationship with V's. The Eagle's cool. The Zombie's cool. I'd love to have a Zombie. Oh boy, as I reminisce and go down my BC Rich wish list. Timothy Blanc in the super chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Says contributions for the Les Paul. Thank you very much, sir. That is precisely where that will go. Dripping glasses, are they selling well? I'm assuming you're referring to the Fender Tone Master amps that I was talking about earlier. Yes, actually, I think they seem to be selling actually pretty well. Is it going to be a long-term line for them? That remains to be seen. I think they've still got a ways to go. They need to sell another X number of units by Y, X, Y date, whatever that is, before they can make that determination. But they do seem to be doing pretty well for them. I can see them. They're going to keep. I would be willing to bet they'll keep it around for a few years, and they'll probably add a few more models to the line as well. But yeah, don't have any fear about whether or not it's what about those replacing the actual classic Fender's actual classic amp models. It ain't going to happen. John Taylor says the problem is you can get a used twin WE. I don't know what that's supposed to stand for. Amp for under the price of a Tone Master. That is true. The Tone Master is new, cost more than what you can get a used twin reverb for. But number one, twin reverb has been on the market forever, so those things are they're on the used market all over the place. It's also another reason why you can pick them up as cheap as you can. I mean, you can get those things used for half the price of what you can buy them for new. At least you used to be able to. That is true, but again, you keep in mind, even with a used twin, you got things come with it. Things like you get maintenance, for example, tube maintenance, and those things are heavy. I agree they're not that bad. They're not the heaviest amp on the planet, but they're heavy. Certainly a lot heavier than the Tone Master version. So and again, that's one of the reasons why Fender's testing the market on this. They're seeing if despite the fact that they're charging $899 or $999 for one of those Tone Master amps, despite the fact that those amps cost that, are people still willing to buy them, even though you can get used versions of the actual, you can get used units of the actual tube versions for a few $100s less. So that's what Fender is trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out people's mindset is, despite that, can they still sell them? So far, like I said, they seem to be doing pretty well. And once enough of those hit the used market, by the way, you'll be, here in a few years, you'll be able to pick up a used Tone Master amp for, if a used twin reverb right now is $800 or $900, you can pick, you'll be able to buy a used Tone Master twin reverb for probably $600, $700 at most. So, they will, it will equal out over time. Let's see. Hobo Roadie says, I eschew corporate mass surveillance. Thanks for helping promote the rise of the machines. How did I help promote rise of the machines? I don't know what that's referring to. Let's see. Kobe Gal says, Robert, did you see Aggie Fisher's resurrection of the Les Paul Custom? Do the specs he had built into that husk sound problematic to you? I haven't seen the video, unfortunately. I haven't seen any Hunter's videos in a while. I used to, they used to always pop up and get the alerts, but YouTube did what YouTube does, and stopped putting that stuff in my feed. So I need to go get caught up on some of his content, because I haven't I've watched his videos in a while. But yeah, he's a diehard single cut Les Paul style guitar guy, that's for sure. I don't know what specs he put into sounds like it sound from your comment, it sounds like he was like he had a guitar custom built. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll go check it out here hopefully later this weekend. Let's see. CJ Pierce Eagle is the guitar I gravitate to. That's a cool one. I never liked the pickup. I think they were just putting the. I can't remember if those came with EMGs or something in it, or if they were just putting the regular BC Rich, BDSM pickups in it. If they were just putting the BDSMs in it, those are garbage. I know so many BC Rich people that, that's the first thing to go if they buy a BC Rich that has those in it, myself included. I love BC Rich guitars, but God, I wish they would do something with their proprietary electronics. My niece heard says what's for lunch/dinner today. I have no idea. To be honest, I cooked up some noodles here a little bit right before I hit the go live button. But I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I have not thought that far ahead. It all depends on what Mrs. Jackson wants when she gets home. So, let's see. Onion Head Guy is here. Stay Curious is here. JMK2112 is here. Let's see. Stay Curious says, I understand why Rat titled their song Round and Round and never leaves my brain. That one does have a tendency to get stuck in your head, doesn't it? Great song though, man. Great song. That's their signature. That's probably their most popular song. So they always I've seen them live a number of times, and that's the one they always seem to play last, and the crowd goes ballistic every time they do. So, JMK2112 says I want to use a Bad Monkey Overdrive with my Randall Diablo 45 for high gain metal. Thoughts? Well, I mean, your Diablo's got a ton of gain on it already. I'd plug it and see what happens. I mean, I love both of those things. I love the Bad Monkey, and I love the Bad Monkey, and I love the Randall Diablos. I own both, but I'm probably the wrong guy to ask because I don't typically like to use overdrive pedals, as anything but solo boosts. Gain boosts when I'm using them with high gain amps. So, I don't like using them as just regular boosts to, tighten up the bottom end. So, I personally kind of think it's not a myth, but yeah, you don't need my thoughts on that, man. Plug it in and try it and see what you think. If you like it, use it. Bad Monkey's awesome though. Buy them now because the prices of those are starting to go up too. By the way, people are kind of starting to figure out that was a pretty kick-ass Tube Screamer clone back in the day. Kobe says, didn't Fender have a tube-based line called the Tone Master? I recall Page and Joe Perry picking them up because they were very consistent. I remember the Bandmasters. I don't know. Maybe they may have. I don't recall though. There was the Bandmasters. There was the what was the other one? I don't think not the Showman. Bandmaster, I guess, is the only one the only one that I can think of back in because you mentioned in Page and Perry. I mean, that would have been 70s. So you're talking Silverface era. There may have been a Tone Master back then. I don't know. I mean, it would not be unheard of for Fender to recycle a model name or a series name. God knows they've been doing that for decades. So. Hobo Roadie says, Ring is against my own personal morals. You do you. I don't buy from Amazon. I got all sorts of moral issues. Yep, well, I had this particular one I happened to buy at Lowe's, but but to each their own. Kobe says, Robertson Summer is coming up. Do you prefer to grill with propane or charcoal? Oh, charcoal. I'm a charcoal guy. diehard charcoal guy. As a matter of fact, I do want a gas grill just because it'd be nice to have, have something that can, just for quick stuff. Get done working, want to, fire up a burger, a couple hot dogs or something real quick. I mean, that's what gas grills are good for. They're really, really good for, for quick stuff. But, so I would like to have a gas grill, small gas grill out there on my patio as well. But, at the end of the day, I'm a charcoal guy. Weber charcoal. Love charcoal. Can't beat the flavor. There's there is a fair amount of skill involved in cooking with charcoal as well. So, that I just enjoy the ritual. Enjoy the ritual, dumping the charcoal in the bottom and throwing the match on it and letting it all catch and simmer down. So, yeah, I just like charcoal. Ricky Compton says "Lay It Down" is also a good one. That's one of my personal favorites. Probably my three favorite Rat songs are "Round and Round," "Lay It Down," and "Nobody Rides for Free" is probably my third favorite. That one came off of the hell was the name of that soundtrack? Why can't I think of the name of that movie now? Point Break. It was off the Point Break soundtrack with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. And crazy ass Gary Busey was in that movie too. Way Cool Jr. also a cool song. Yeah, Rat got a lot. They've got a ton of good tracks, man. They've had a great career. Stephen Pearcy's a raging asshole, but man, they've had a good career. Ricky Compton says Boss SD1 works good for boost of an overdriven amp. SD1 is real similar. That's a tube screamer circuit. That is a tube screamer circuit. That was the one that the original tube screamer circuit was actually a Boss circuit. The OD1. Of course, was Boss's first compact stomp box, and then Ibanez ganked that design and added a tone knob to it. Came out the tube screamer. So in order to compete with that, Boss had to basically take their OD1 circuit, their own OD1 circuit, and add a tone knob to it, and the SD1 was born. Meanwhile, the OD circuit kind of went on to become its own thing, and now the OD3 that they sell currently, and even the OD2, which was the turbo overdrive before it, we're all totally different circuits altogether. So people are not as hip, or people are getting hip to the Bad Monkey. They're not as cheap as they used to be. That is also true. I bought mine for $25. And now they're selling for 60-ish, maybe more. Hank Hill wants to know your location. Because I don't use propane. For what it's worth, my Weber Performer does have a propane. It takes a small little Coleman-sized propane tank to. It does have a propane starter igniter on it, but that apparently broke sometime over the winter. I gotta replace it, which sucks. I mean, it's like a $25 part. It's not a big deal, but it does make starting it a lot easier. My knees hurt says it's nice to quick heat up the grill outside with the propane. That's something special about coals. I agree. I like charcoal. Matter of fact, I love charcoal. So that's honestly, I think I inherited a fair amount of that too, because my dad is a big charcoal guy. His brother, my uncle, has always been a big charcoal guy. That guy is a Weber master. That's just what I grew up around. So that's just what I grew up around. And all the time, my dad would be, he was always grilling on charcoal, and and he would smoke with charcoal, smoke meats and stuff. He had a real good flank steak recipe that he used to use. So Bradley Meyer still does use. But anyways, I just grew up around it. So Ricky Compton says charcoal, some apple wood chips. I like mesquite, actually. I like the strong mesquite flavor, but apple wood chips are good too. So's hickory. So's cherry. So's pecan. Overalready says, I'm old enough to remember local manufacturers, etc. I know you're not political. I just think about the end result of our choices. Yep. Nope. Yeah. 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 Sorry. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one. I'll discuss politics all day long, but not on my channel. Jack Rosa says, hello, Robert. What do you think of the Marshall MG15 M11 micro stack? I am not a fan of the Marshall MGs at all. I've never liked them. I've never cared for them. I mean, they've always just been, seem to be cheap solid state amps to me. I never liked them. But that said, there's a lot of people out there that, their first amp was a small, Marshall MG, and there's, some people out there, who can't afford, a big Marshall tube stack or anything. So, they buy a Marshall MG stack. So, I mean, they certainly serve a purpose. They serve a purpose in the market, and they do fill a need for a lot of people, but they're not my favorites. Ricky Compton says, Point Break, hell of a movie. I love that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time now. There was I remember when I was living in my first apartment, I was living on that dump for like 3 years. And, there for a while, I would, up late watching TV on the weekends or whatever, man. Point Break was on every weekend for it went on for months. Actually, I think it was like close to a year, so I saw Point Break a lot back then. I also saw it in the theater, and, it was a popular movie, when I was in high school. So, we would watch it, as kids, hanging out over at each other's houses and stuff. I didn't have cable, but most of my friends did. So, yeah, good flick. JG Mopar says, I'm late setting up a new audio interface and got carried away. Well, thank you, sir. And also thank you very much for the PayPal contribution there that you made as well. Thank you very much, as always. That's going towards the Les Paul. Setting up a new audio interface. I need to figure out. I've got a 2i2. I'm just going to use my 2i2 for the time being. But eventually, I'm gonna get sick of that pretty quick because I need a lot more 2 inputs. So once I get my music room set up. Oh, hang on a second, guys. Where was I? Yeah. Anyway, but this 2i2 that I plan on using once I get my music room set up, I'm 2 inputs isn't going to be enough for me, especially in that room, because I know I'm going to have mics and cables and shit going everywhere there. So I'm going to need more than that, and You know, I don't know. I haven't decided what I want to go with. I'm not gonna spend the big money on a UA Apollo or anything like that. But it does need to be something rack mountable with, you know, probably at least eight inputs. So I don't know. I'm still shopping around. I haven't. You know, I'm still trying to figure out what all's out there. Curious to know what interface you're setting up though. Ricky Compton says just picked up 2 Fender combo amp and a combo amp Blues DeVille 410. Those are cool. Blues Deluxe for $265 for both. Retubed. Wow. You got a Blues DeVille 410 and a Blues Deluxe for $265? Am I understanding that right? Wow. You stole them. Dave Escobar's here. What's up, dude? Welcome to you, as always. My knees hurt says, how far away is the Les Paul? I still got a ways. You know, still got a ways. I'm not gonna get into numbers, but you know, not quite there yet. So Aiden Lawrence says, what is a good tube amp head that is in the $100 range? I just need a clean so I can boost it from my multi-lane effects board. Depending on how big you need, I don't know. $100-$200 range. I mean, you're definitely going to be on the used market, you know, for a tube amp in that price range. I don't think you're going to be able to find anything new. You know, at least nothing worthwhile. You know, you're not going to be under $200, but you can pick up Blue Voodoos. For, you know, you might find a 60-watt Blue Voodoo for $200 or so. But you know, the Crate Blue Voodoos, the PV Windsors, B52 AT100s, ATX 100s. You can find all those pretty cheap on the used market. So old PV Valve Kings, you know, are easy enough to find. So yeah, I'd start there. Zoe. She's barking at nothing. JG Mopar says I got the Solid State Logic SSL2 Plus. That's supposed to be a good interface. Matter of fact, I've sold a few of those, and you know, people seem to be real happy with them. I was looking at the Motu M4, but no one has them. I was looking at the Motu stuff too. I don't know. There's a couple of them. I think, you know, whatever the big one is. I can't remember what that model is, but there was, and I have to pull it up again now because I've moved on from it. There's something about it that didn't jive with me, you know, that wasn't going to work for me. So, what Les Paul you looking at? Custom shop thing or question mark? Yeah, just, you know, black Les Paul custom. You know, it doesn't, not necessarily custom shop. You know, it's not a 57 reissue or Black Beauty or anything like that. You know, just the standard. You know, just the one that's only $5,000 as opposed to the ones that are $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000. Yeah, just a standard Les Paul custom in ebony. Yeah, ebony, black Les Paul custom, gold hardware. That's what I want. That's what I've always wanted. Ricky Compton said my son snagged them from an online estate sale here in Michigan. I even got the covers for him. What a steal of a deal it was. Wow. $265 for 2 Fender tube combos. Wow. Don't see that deal every day. JD Mopar said I had an old Tascam interface that died last week. Those Tascam interfaces are known to do that. And I think those are, they're basically the same thing as the Steinberg interfaces. I think they're literally the exact same thing. I'm not a big fan of the Steinberg interfaces. So, I'm not sure. I'm probably going to wind up with another 18i20. Most likely that's what I'm going to wind up with. Same thing I'm using out here. And I do like this 18i20. It's done well for me. But first, I need to get everything set up and figure out exactly how much room I'm going to have before I do anything. So there's, it's that room's almost done. It's closer than it was, but there's still a little ways to go. Kobe out says Les Paul Custom is $4,600 new, $4,699 actually. Or actually, I better check that because I could be wrong. I think it may have gone up. Gibson Les Paul Custom. Where's the non-custom shop? $46.99. Yep. $46.99. Ebony or Alpine White. Les Paul Custom is $4,600 new minus just the wine red. Nobody does wine red like Gibbs. Nope. Les Paul Custom for me, it's got to be ebony. The wine red. If I want a wine red Les Paul, I'll buy a studio. And I do agree with you. I do like wine red, but for me, custom's got to be black. Period. Black or white. Period. So that's what I want. That's what I've always wanted. I'm not changing my mind. Onion Head guy said, does it really need to be a tube if you're running it through a DSP board? That is also a really, really good point. If you're going to be using, if you're going to be using a processor into the front end of your whatever amp you're going to get, does it really need to be a tube amp, or does it just need to have a decent clean channel, or really you might even be able to just get by with a decent effects loop? So, there's plenty of great heads out there that aren't tube. That still have a good clean channel on them that you can run your effects into. So, my niece Hurt says, you don't like Les Paul Studios. I don't know much about Les Paul, except they're heavy. No, I like the Les Paul Studios just fine. Matter of fact, the studios are, the studios are about one of the few Gibson models left, and probably the only Les Paul model left. I think that's still, the Gibson, the studios, I think, are the best bang for the buck. Best way I can describe it. So, there's $1,500 or so is what they cost now. That's pretty reasonable price for an American-made Les Paul these days. So, the Gibson did do, they made a smart decision and got rid of all the bullshit on the standards and all that stuff that nobody wanted, and just started building Les Paul standards again. And they got rid of the traditional line and kept the Les Paul classics, and brought the price of everything back way down, because it was getting ridiculous. $3,800 for a Les Paul standard, was absolutely insane. Nobody was paying that. Now they're back down to around 25, which is about what they should be. For the given the day and age we're in. So, but yeah, no, I like Les Paul Studios quite a bit. I've thought about buying one a number of times, but and to be clear, if I did buy one, it would probably be a wine red. But I want my custom first. So I want my custom first. So eventually I'll buy I'll probably snag a studio here at some point. God knows those are cheap enough on the used market too. So. JD Mopar says I got 6 years out of the Tascam. That's not bad, actually. That's not bad at all. Joseph Austin says my basement is my music room. But I'm running out of space. Need to wall off the laundry area and use the other side to hang guitars. Yeah, the next house that I don't know, but we just refinanced this place, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. But assuming that we do decide to buy another house here sometime in the next couple of years, move into a bigger house. If we do that, that's a finished basement is probably going to be a priority, so that I have room for all my stuff. Because I'm one reason why I've sold a few guitars and stuff like that. I'm thinking about selling a few more, and even a couple, an amp cab, and just clearing some stuff out. Thinking about getting rid of my big bass combo. I don't need a 450 watt bass combo. Thinking about clearing some stuff out. Part of that reason is because I'm running out of space. So. Joseph Austin says, "Yep, love the new standard line, smart move." I said I also like the specials and the juniors. I like the specials. I don't have any use for the juniors. The juniors, those things just feel like toys to me. I don't care for the juniors at all. So I don't care for the juniors. I don't like the tribute series either. I'm sorry. The tribute series are garbage. Those are just. For $800, $1,000 or whatever, honestly, an $800 to $1,000 USA made Gibson, I'd rather have a Korean made Schecter or something for that price range. My niece heard says Rick Beato has a Gibson coming out. Wonder what the price will be on that thing. I didn't know that. Really, Rick Beato's got a Gibson coming out. Congratulations, Rick. I'm sure you're not going to see this. But, yeah, very cool. Very cool. Is it an acoustic or something? I don't know. I'm kind of curious to know. I mean, that guy's a talented musician. He's done everything. So, and he could play just about any damn instrument out there. And his studio is pretty kick-ass as well. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see what it costs. Kobe says, Robert, what do you post what you're selling? Here lately it's been Facebook Marketplace and eBay. So between those two, I think I've got one or two things that I should probably check actually, but I think I've listed one or two things on Reverb, but I never have a whole lot of traction of anything on Reverb, and I hate Reverb anyway. So, I try not to give them any of my money if I don't have to. So, especially since they raised their selling rates up, honestly, at that point, I'd rather just, go back to selling on eBay where they've got a much broader reach anyway. So, yeah, I sold the Kolos guitar, that metal body aluminum thing. They tell me that they fixed the design flaws on the ones that they're producing now. So I'll see if I can get them to send me another one so we can see. But the one that they did send me was loaded with design flaws. So and I knew I wasn't gonna keep it, so I knew I wasn't gonna play it, so I sold that one. I sold the EART Explorer 1 guitar. You know, that one was collecting a little bit too much dust as well. You know, so it found a new home. You know, some smaller items, etc., etc. So, Just Boston says it's Pelham Blue special with P90s. I do like Pelham Blue. Pelham Blue is a cool color. I got, man, when I was, you know, a GM that I worked for, back at the store Guitar Center. He was, you know, that dude was, you know, it still is actually, you know, he and I are still friends. But you know, that dude's obsessed with anything Pelham Blue. You know, doesn't matter what it, you know, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it could be a Gibson could come out with a Hello Kitty acoustic guitar, and you know, if it's Pelham Blue, I guarantee you he's gonna buy it. Although he'd probably buy the Hello Kitty guitar in pink too. Now that I think about it, just because it's a Hello, his tastes are a little weird. Now that I think about it, but I'll never, you know, anytime because of him, you know, working with him for, you know, for so many years, anytime I see or hear any mention of the word Pelham Blue, you know, I automatically think of Metzger. You know, Metzger loves Pelham Blue. He has bought guitars just because they're Pelham Blue, like high-end, expensive guitars. My niece heard says Beato's Gibson is a Les Paul Special, I think, with P90s. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. It seems like all the Rick's videos that I watch, he's not the one that's actually playing guitar very often. You know, he may track a 12-string or something to, you know, to make whatever point that he's trying to make. You know, he may do something like that. You know, but you know, half the time he's sitting down behind a piano or a keyboard when he is playing an instrument. You know, a lot of it is just, you know, it's usually him at a computer or him, you know, just sitting on a stool, you know, sharing his vast amount of knowledge and experience. You know, that guy, I gotta, you know, I don't know why anybody wouldn't like Rick Beato, but, you know, if for some reason, if you don't, you know, nobody can deny that dude's forgotten more than I'll ever know. He has seen and done a lot. So that's interesting. Special P90s. Cool. JG Mopar says, I found one of my old amps from when I was a kid on Reverb. It made it to the East Coast from the West Coast, and 30 years after I sold it, same serial number. I was shocked. Really? Like the actual unit. Yeah, you know, stuff travels, dude. That I have learned. You know, gear travels whether you mean for it to or not. You know, I mean, there's so much of the stuff that I have, I know has been, you know, it was not always bought, you know, has not always been local. So, yep, gear travels as people do. My niece Hurt says, follow him on Insta. He does quote-unquote quick lessons, LOL, that are very advanced. I'm not surprised that they're very advanced. He, you know, his you know, what makes this song great series. You know, he was doing. It was Man in the Box. I think it was Man in the Box. It was an Alice in Chains song. I know that much. I think it was Man in the Box. Yeah, it had to be. Yeah, it was, because I remember, you know, one of the very first things that he pointed out that, you know, it was a small thing, but one of the things that added so much to the intro was that first, you know, when the song first starts and it goes don't, you know, and you know, he honed in specifically on that bam bam from the drummer, you know, but he's got this innate this ability to pick out small little shit like that I never would have even thought of. I mean, I just, thought, yeah, it sounds cool. It's a great song. But I never would have thought that, that particular, those two beats of the snare drum, and the toms going in, as the intro would have been so much, so much of a reason as to why I thought that part of the song was great, or why it is great, not just my opinion, but, so yeah, he's got quite an ear for, for picking out that kind of stuff. My knees hurt, says my PV Bandit 75 needs to travel out of my house and be gone. I have no idea how to ship it. Now, if you got it listed, you go down to, go to Staples or somewhere and find a box big enough to put that thing in. And, what I would do with it, I would wrap it in shrink wrap, or bubble wrap several times, and then fill the rest of the box up with, packing peanuts or some other kind of packing material, and then seal it up. Just, make sure that there's, it ain't moving anywhere inside the box, but, and then be ready to pay a lot of money to ship that box, because it's gonna, that PV Bandit already weighs a ton, for a little 112 combo. Those things are heavy. And the box that is going to go in is not going to be small. It's going to have some pretty serious dimensions. So, Joe Trey says, by the way, your video isn't fuzzy anymore, nice and clear again. I didn't know that it was fuzzy. I've peeked up here at the screen a couple of times, which I'm using for my video monitor, and I haven't noticed any streaming issues. I mean, it's been telling me excellent stream health. So, oh well, that's the interwebs, that's YouTube. Janice Lawless says, how hard is it to fix fret sprout, and where is a good place to buy the tools? As far as how hard it is, I think Phil McKnight has a video on that. They can that explains how to do it. As far as where to buy the tools, I think the most important thing that you're going to need is, and I don't know what it's called, but it's, there's a file that you run, a file that runs along the edge of up and down the edge of the fretboard. And the part that's actually doing the filing is actually angled in a little bit, but really for guitar luthier parts, really the best place to get good quality stuff, especially specialty stuff like that, is probably going to be StewMac. So I would recommend going to Stuart McDonald, which I think is STEU-MAC.com if I remember right, StewMac.com with the hyphen in there. That's probably where I'd start, and that's probably where you're going to find everything you need. But also, like I said, check out Philip McKnight's video on sharp frets and how to file those down. I can't remember the name of the video or anything, but search for it under Phil McKnight, and you ought to be able to find it. JG Mopar says, my knees hurt. I was able to ship from a UPS store. They packed it up and shipped it for me. Cost a little, but it was packed up good. Yep, you can pay the UPS folks to pack it up and for you as well. I prefer to do it myself. I don't trust UPS to pack up. PV Bandit wouldn't be that big of a deal because those things are freaking built like tanks. I mean, you're rolling down a flight of stairs and they're still gonna fire up and turn on work just fine. But something like a guitar, particularly a Gibson, something with a headstock that's hard to, something with a headstock that doesn't, that's known to break easily, that kind of stuff. Tube amps. I don't trust Gibson. I don't trust UPS. I shipped, matter of fact, when I shipped out that Colas guitar yesterday, I made sure and packed that one up myself because I knew if I let somebody else do it, it wasn't going to get done right. But now I know that it's absolutely done right, and it's going to arrive at its destination, which I think is in Kansas, which is so that's just a few states away from here, so it's not that far away. But I know it's going to arrive at its destination in one piece the way it's supposed to. So. Joe Trey says for the last month or so it was heavy, or it was fuzzy. A lot of that I'm sure last week had to do with the fact that we were streaming. We had Jim from the Practical Guitarist streaming as well. So it was streaming two of us. So I'm assuming that meant that had something to do with it because there was a few other moving parts involved in that. The last couple of weeks, I don't know. I can't. I can't explain. Unless it was obviously it's an internet thing. I haven't restarted my router in the last couple of weeks, so I guess if it was acting up, it apparently started behaving again. Tom Mott says, question on a PRS SE Custom 24. I'm looking at switching out pickups from the stock to Seymour Duncan's. I can remember what pickup set is common for most people. Is it a 58 and a 59 set? For Seymour Duncan's, you're probably thinking of the JB and 59. They don't make a 58. They don't. They do make a 59 model, which is that's designed to sound like an old PAF from a 59 Les Paul, but most that pickup is probably most commonly paired with the JB model, or a lot of people seem to put it with the Pearly Gates as well. If it's a PRS, SE Custom 24, a 59 model certainly not going to hurt in the neck. I don't know. I prefer a little bit higher output pickup in the bridge, so if it were me, I would definitely go with either a JB or a full shred, something like that. So again, my opinion. Yeah, but if you're me, JB, especially if you're putting a 59 in the neck, one last thought on that. If you're putting a 59 in the neck position, I would definitely go with the JB. And the JB is probably the most popular and best-selling pickup on the market, and has been forever. So there's been a ton of people that have used that pickup, still do today. So. JG Mopar says, I like JB Jazz combo. I do agree with. When it comes to the JB, I do like it better with the Jazz than I do the 59. But 59 is not a bad pickup at all, though. I've used both. My niece Hurts has any experience with those ESP thin line nylon string guitars. Unfortunately, no. Matter of fact, this is the first I've heard of it. I didn't know ESP was making nylon string guitars at all. So nope, that is new to me. Tom Mott says, I think I would have to get F-Space since I have a trim. F-Spaced is the trademark description for DiMarzio. So F-Space pickups are DiMarzio. Seymour Duncan's are the Trembuckers. So, in which again you would only need it. You would only need the trim spaced pickup, which on the bridge position. So, if you have a trim, then you want the JB model Trembucker is what you need. Assuming you go with a JB. JD Mopar says, I think the old M series neck pickup, old Carvin M series neck pickups are some of the best. I like Carvin pickups, man. Well, I like Carvin guitars, period, man. Those are, of course, they're still around. Now they're known as Kiesel. But, even the old Carvins, man, I'd still love to find an old Carvin DC600. I love those guitars. Love those guitars. Had a chance to buy one for like $400 one time, and I didn't. Didn't have the money at the time. Joseph Austin, the Super Chat says, Robert, thanks for doing the show every week. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out on the show every week. That's, me sitting here, hanging out with you guys and answering questions and stuff like that doesn't mean a whole lot. It doesn't mean a hill of beans if you guys aren't here to hang out and hang out with me and give me questions to answer. So, Carvins are definitely well made. They are absolutely well made. You know what? I'm thinking about it. Let's just see if we... Oh, there goes my light. Hang on. Let me fix that first. Oh, sorry about that. Thing only had the thing going for an hour or so. Let's see. Carvin DC600. $400 for a DC 600 once upon a time. Now there's DC 127s, 135s selling for $800-900. DC 200 selling for $849. These are Carvins, not Kiesels. Oh boy. DC 127. Hey, that one's in Indianapolis. I'm looking on Guitar Center's website, by the way. $899. Wow. Let's see what's... See what they're selling for on Reverb. Just out of curiosity. Find your dream guitar. It says Carvin DC. Carvin DC. What is out there? DC 800, DC 127, DC 400, DC 125 Custom Shop, Koa. These are all selling for $900,000, $1,500 Some dumbass selling an 8-string for $800. DC 700X. There's a 7-string version for $1,600. '98 Carvin DC 150. I don't see a 600 anywhere. Knew I should have bought it when I had the chance. Yep, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Dave Escobar says I miss the old Carvin catalogs. Yeah, I do too, man. They always had some cool stuff in there. I never. They always seemed to show up at a time when I could never afford to buy anything out of it. But I've always wanted to get on. I always wanted to get on their website and custom build something. I did that with the. I did it with the Carvin. When it was still Carvin guitars, I did that a number of times. Though obviously I never pulled the trigger on any of them, but. I don't know. That might be something I still do one of these days. So, let's have Kiesel build me something or other. Most people seem to love them. People that get Kiesels in the mail seem to love them. I haven't played too many of them, but they seem to be pretty well built. Let's see. J.G. Mopar says DC600 like the one Jason Becker used back in the late 80s. With Jackson-style headstock, those are sweet. Yep, that's exactly the one. Exactly the one I'm thinking of. JG Mopar says the Kiesel name change kind of helped the price of the old Carvins. People now know even the Carvins had great build quality. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It used to be, if you bought a Carvin brand new, you were married to it because they were notorious for having some of the shittiest resale value on the market. And you're right. Then all of a sudden they changed the name to Kiesel, and everybody suddenly realized, oh, well, this Carvins. I got one of these, but pretty nice guitar. Frustrating. Should have bought it when I had a chance. Damn it. Tim O was here. Let's see. Ian Nunez is here. I retracted his message. Joseph Austin, are the Kiesels U.S. made? Yes, all Kiesel guitars are made in the USA. Their shop and factory and everything's out in California. Tim O says, hey, Mopar, hey, Robert, remember those 200 series by Boss? Do you think they'll come out with a 200 reverb in that series? I would assume so. I don't know. I'll have to. I've got a buddy that works for Boss. I've never asked him his opinion about that actually. So, I'll have to. I'd have to ask him and see what he says because I've often thought the same thing. I don't know why there's not an RV 200. There's an RV 500 and there's the RV 6 and reverb just about every other way you can think of. In Boss lineup, they didn't do a reverb in the 200 series, which again I agree doesn't make sense. I think they should have. Many says, hi Robert, hope all is well. If I had the money, I'd love to have a custom built from Kiesel. I'm old enough to remember wanting custom Carvin. Yep, which is what I was just talking about. I would like to have had a custom Carvin myself, but oh well, it is what it is. Ian Nunez says, hey everybody, finally bought my first ever Gibson Les Paul. It's a classic Heritage Cherry Sunburst. Congratulations, dude. No, I don't know. Did you get a standard? Or no, you just said that. You got a classic. So you got a classic and Cherry Sunburst. Les Paul Classic. Cool, dude. Those are cool guitars. Congratulations. Congratulations. Tim O said, I see anything about Kiesel customer service. Not interested at all. I can't speak for all the customer service as a whole, but Jeff Kiesel is known to kind of be and I don't know the guy, but I've seen some some instances from him that have been caught on video. He's kind of a whiny little bitch sometimes. So Hope your Gibson custom jar is getting bigger. It is getting bigger. It is getting bigger, absolutely. So thank you all to you for who have contributed to the I don't know, I guess I don't know, maybe I'll change the name of the jar there next week to Gibson custom jar, Gibson custom Les Paul jar. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'll probably forgotten about it by then actually, but right now it seems like like a fun idea. So Joe Trey says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, everyone. Yes, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you hit the thumbs up, aka the like button, that does my video and my channel a lot of good. It helps it to gain just a little bit more visibility there into the YouTube marketplace, which is where we all want to be visible. At least if you are posting videos on YouTube. My knees hurt. Says kind of want to check out a Strandberg guitar. They look cool, and people seem to really like them. But I'm having a real hard time getting on board with a $2,500 guitar that's made in Indonesia or something like that. That's a lot of money for an import guitar. I recognize they're supposed to be really well made, but that's a lot of money for an import guitar. Neil Davis says, have you ever played a multi-amp rig? I currently use a radial shotgun to play 4 amps simultaneously, and the sound is amazing. Yeah, I don't find it to be very useful for my purposes. Even the only thing I could ever see a use for using multiple amps for would be in the studio. If you're trying to capture like a ping pong effect of a delay or a tremolo or something like that bouncing back and forth. That's really the only thing that I can think of ever needing, ever having a use for a stereo rig for. The live, a stereo rig live is, is pretty much useless because, even if you do have an amp on, if your guitar player does have an amp on either side of the stage, you've got to be right in the center of the audience to be able to get that stereo, be able to hear the stereo effect of both amps, and if they're sitting, if they're, 2 amps or more sitting on the same side of the stage, then again, what's the point? At that point, most sound guys are going to, even if you are set up stereo, most sound guys are going to mix it mono anyway. Because of, what I just explained. If you're not sitting right in the middle of the, audience to hear the stereo effect, you're not going to hear it anyway. So, to counteract that, most sound engineers will mix it mono. So, yeah, I mean, I don't, I've never, I running more than one amp at once. I played it. I was in a band for a while. And, this is a Southern rock cover band that I was in, and actually my, the guitar player that was in that band, he played through two Marshall DSL full stacks, JCM 2000 DSL full stacks. So he had 200-watt, DSL heads and 4 412 cabs. And it did sound good. That much Marshall at one time sounded good, but good God, he did not need that much power, that much air moving for the, for the places that we were gigging. I mean, God, it was insane. Chris Torres says, what your thoughts on how Gibson approaches guitar sales in terms of sales and prices? Depending on what era you're talking about. Currently, I think they're starting to be a little bit more, realistic about their pricing. Like I was just talking about earlier, Les Paul Standard used to cost, they're towards the end of the Henry era, those things were starting to sell for, they were pricing them at $37.99 or $38.99, something stupid. Who the hell is going to pay upwards of $4,000 for a Les Paul Standard? I don't care how many A's the top has on it. you know. So, you know, I do got to give give JC their new guy credit, because he's fixed a lot of those problems, you know. And as I mentioned earlier, Les Paul Standard's now selling for about $2,500 again, which is about what it should be selling for, and they haven't been that cheap since mid 2000s. Not that $2,500 is cheap, but you know, it's cheap compared to almost $4,000. So, you know, some of the other models, Explorer, what I call Explorer standards, are about $1,500, which I think is fair. SGs are about the same price. SG standards, that is. Again, which I think is pretty fair. Flying V's are about that same price range, again, which I think is pretty fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with how they're pricing stuff. Their custom shop stuff is a little stupid. But the people that are gonna buy those guitars and pay that kind of money have the kind of money that whether it's $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 isn't that big of a deal to them. They just pay it. So. Pardon me. My niece here says I was looking at the $1,500 Strandberg. My eyes never see prices over that. And it's still, even then, I don't know that I could pay $1,500 for even $1,500 for a Strandberg. That just seems a little high to me, my opinion. So, but I don't know. Maybe if I played one, I think it was amazing, and would decide this is what I gotta have. So. Dave Escobar says Carvin used to endorse that hair metal guy man dude. I don't know who that is, unless you're referring to Gear Man dude. It says I have a Y, or I said I have a V220, but not because of him. Joseph Austin says I play sitting down a lot, but I use a footstool, classical style, for one leg. I use a footstool quite a bit myself these days. I've got one right here underneath me, as a matter of fact. So I use this one. For playing sitting down most of the time. Well, this one, I've got another one just like it back in the room. But yeah, just on stage foot switch. That's what I use. And I tried it. This is the only one that hasn't broken on me. I've tried a bunch of different other ones. I tried the Pro Line one. That one crumpled like a fucking pile of aluminum foil. The Cordoba makes a wooden one that I thought would be solid, and it wasn't. That thing shattered into a gazillion pieces one day out of nowhere. I don't know. There's a few others out there that I think I didn't even bother trying. The on-stage one's the only one that's been sturdy enough for me. I've had these for a couple years now, actually. Oh, yeah, okay. So, you guys are talking about Gear Man, dude. And I don't, he hasn't, he seems to have kind of stopped doing videos there in the last year or so. He's been pretty quiet. So, I don't know, maybe he just got burnt out. Maybe he just, who knows? I don't know. Not sure. Ted Doucette says, Robert found an older Epiphone SG Prophecy just a week ago. I had one before, but sold like an idiot. Really glad I could find another. Dirty Fingers pickups are heavy as hell. Yeah, if you find one of the older ones, get one with the Dirty Fingers in it. That's one I like. A lot of people don't like those pickups, but I do. Because you could get them back then. You get them with Dirty Fingers, or you get them with EMGs. And I thought Dirty Fingers was the way to go because I happen to like those pickups. They don't like high gain amps. Dirty Fingers pickups do not like high gain amps. They get real muddy real quick into a high gain amp. But if you run them into like a JCM 800 or something, they are magical. Those pickups sound real good into a JCM 800. JCM 800. I can't pronounce it. Pardon me. I was up till 5 o'clock this morning editing and working on videos. I usually try to get that stuff knocked out, but I fell behind last week, so I had to work extra hard this week to get caught back up. Joseph Austin says, thoughts on the new Gibson Explorers? Are they worth the cost? I never see these around used. I don't know. Is there anything special that they're doing with the new Explorers? I don't know. I didn't think there was anything different that they were, different about them compared to what they've been here recently in years past. As far as the standard models, anyway. Yeah, the B2s I don't like. The B2s I'm not crazy about. I think those suck. But with just the regular, what's listed as a Gibson Explorer, those I think are cool. Not the custom. Those are pricey. That's another almost $5,000 guitar. But just the Gibson Explorer, the one that they call just the Gibson Explorer electric guitar, sells for $16.99. Yeah, absolutely. I would tell anybody to buy that guitar. Absolutely tell anybody to buy that guitar, although right now it only seems to be coming in the Carina natural color. I don't see a white one or a black one or a wine red one or anything like that. And they've also got the 70s Explorer. What is different about it? 70s Tribute Burst Buckers. That's enough for me to not want to buy it. I hate burst buckers. Yeah, screw that. What are they putting in the standard ones? These come with Burst Bucker 2, Burst Bucker 3. That sucks. They're not putting super ceramics in them anymore. Boo. Well, it's like the 58. Trying to make it look like a 58 Explorer. Just give me a good old-fashioned Gibson Explorer. Nothing fancy. Just give me a Gibson Explorer. Too much to ask these days, I guess. Stay Curious, his thoughts on the original Parker Fly guitars. Man, the Parker guitars, I want to hate those things because they're hideous as hell to look at. They suck. They're uglier than hell. I want to hate those guitars like crazy, but I cannot deny the fact that those things play and sound killer. And that's real hard to argue with. One of the best playing guitars I have ever gotten my hands on was a Parker Nightfly Deluxe. which is about now I think they're about $3,000 or $4,000 or something like that. They're insanely expensive, but I'll never forget that guitar. That was God, playing that thing was an experience. I'd love to have one of the Parker and one of the neck through, the Night Flight Deluxe in particular. If somebody handed me one of those, I wouldn't complain at all. Tim O says, I think you guys are lucky in the States with your guitar stores. In Canada, we have Long and McQuaid, and the guy told me Guitar Center gets all the good tops and so on. We get all the B guitars. I don't know about that. I think that's, I would like to see some evidence behind that theory, because I don't think there's any truth to it. I think it's, just somebody complaining. We unfortunately a lot of the small mom and pop shops, depending on the city you're in, have dried up. There's not many of them left here in Indianapolis. There's a few, but for the most part, most of them are gone, and they're finding other ways, like with lessons and repairs and stuff like that to survive more than they are guitar sales. So it's gone. The corporate entities are ruling the roost, and that's not just in guitars, and I can, and I'm not saying, and I'm not knocking them either because I work for one, but but that's not just the guitar industry either. That's across the entire economy. Let's see. Robert, are you a fan of any full tone pedals? I love my Deja Vibe and my Clyde Deluxe. Yeah, actually, I love the OCDs especially. I love the OCDs. One of my favorite overdrives is my OCD version 3, which is kind of hard to find. But yeah, I love all of the OCD, just about every version. I love all the OCDs. Love the OCDs. The Super Trim is a killer pedal. The Clyde Deluxe, as you mentioned, that's a great wah pedal. Probably one of my favorite wah pedals. Yeah, Full Tone's put out some good stuff over the years. Jim Woodard says, I thought seriously about getting a couple of my Gibsons, about selling a couple of my Gibsons and getting a single custom shop, but I'd be afraid to gig it. So yeah, Jim, you are correct. I don't know. If I had a custom shop Gibson, I would gig it, but it wouldn't be. I don't know. I've had a long-standing personal policy that I don't take any guitar out with me that's worth any more than $1,500. Because if $1,500, if something happens to it, yeah, it'll suck. But it's generally not irreplaceable at that price. So anything more than that, though, I've broken that rule in the past, though. I've gigged with my Zakk Wylde Vertigo Les Paul. I've gigged with my Hamer Scarab. So I've broken that. I've broken my own rule. More than once in the past. But generally speaking, I try to keep a cap on values as far as gear that I take out with me, because I don't want anything to happen to some of that stuff, because, like you said, it's expensive. I'll never forget, a good buddy of mine that I worked with at Guitar Center one time, his dad bought him a $5,000 custom shop 59 Les Paul reissue for his birthday. He and his twin brother have still do play in a band together to this day. And for their birthday, their dad Seth got that really, really nice custom shop Les Paul, and that, like I said, even at that time it was like $5,000 or $6,000, and this was 10 years ago almost. And Adam, I think, got a really, really nice drum kit or something. He'd owned that guitar for just a few months, and their band they went out on tour, and had all their gear locked up in a trailer. One night at a motel, came out the next morning, somebody cut the lock off of it, and that guitar was gone. So that's, I'm not going out on tour or anything, but stuff like that, stories like that, are what scare me about taking the really expensive stuff out. There's people out there. I've had all kinds of cables stolen. at gigs that, stuff like, so I mean, if there's people willing to steal the cheap shit from me like that, I'm quite sure they're, they're not going to think twice about taking some of the expensive stuff. Ricky Compton says, "Where'd you get that footstool?" Guitar Center. I think that's where this one came from. I think. Like I said, I've got 2 of them. They've been the sturdiest ones that I found. Just search footstool for Guitar Center, on Guitar Center's website, and it'll pull up everything that they have. So they're not expensive. $12, $15 or something like that. Maybe 20. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it wasn't expensive. Tim O says, "Holy shit, Robert, you almost ate your mic on that yawn." Well, like I said, I slept pretty decently, but I could have stood to sleep for another couple hours, and I've got things to do, so I'm a little bit tired. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to wrap this up here in just another couple of minutes. So, Chris Torres says, "Thoughts on Dave Mustaine joining Gibson?" Boy, here we go again. Oh man, I don't have any thoughts. I want to see the guitars first, and see how, the Kramer in particular. I think is probably the one that I would have the most interest in. But, yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, he was with Dean for 15 years or something like that. I mean, he was with Dean for a long time. Artists, they like to make changes every now and again. So, Dave went, Gibson have been real active trying to beef up their artist roster since they lost so many of their top artists in the last few years, like, Zach Wilde, Bill Kelleher. I mean, they lost just about all of their big names except for Slash. So, they lost just about everybody else. So they're trying to beef up their artist roster back up. So, they're paying some serious money to artists and offering some pretty sweet deals in order to do that, which is why they've landed Dave Mustaine, why they've landed Jerry Cantrell, among others. So, yeah, I don't have any issue with it. I don't understand, but if people are, crowing about, people are. It's one of those things. I think just because it's got Gibson's name attached to it now, people are trying to make a big deal out of it, which is. Jim Woodard says, "I love my Burstbucker Pros. The Pros are the only Burstbucker that I like. And the reason why is because the Burstbucker Pro is the only one that is an Alnico 5 magnet. The rest of them are all Alnico 2 magnet. And I don't have anything against specific magnet types and pickups, but for some reason the Burstbucker 1, 2, and 3 all sound like complete shit to me. The Burstbucker Pro, on the other hand, is basically the Burstbucker 2 with an Alnico 5 magnet, and that different magnet makes all the difference. So I like the Burstbucker Pro. I hate the rest of them. Let's see. Alrighty. We are not quite at 2 hours, but we're pretty close. So I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, I got some things I got to go do. I got to work on a guitar or two and get it ready for a video this week, and finish overhauling my gear room this week, etc., this weekend, etc., etc. So, yeah. So, guys, everybody that came to hang out today, thank you very much for taking the time to come and hang out. Thank you to those of you that contributed to supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate that. Seriously, you have no idea how much that means to me. Anyway, so check out the video that goes up tomorrow morning, and I will see you guys here probably next week.